The medical transition of children, in my opinion, will now come to a raging halt as a recent court ruling in New York City has raised concerns on the profitability of transing kids. The implications of this case could significantly impact future practices and fundings. And it's interesting how monetary returns can shift people's perspectives and priorities. But the question remains, is this a reflection of a society as a whole? Or is it more about the leaders and the values they promote because of the almighty dollar? Hello, my name is Scott Newgent, and I am the so-called hero of Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? Yes, a trans man who is adamantly against medically transitioning children, keeping trans women out of female spaces. Fox Varian, a 22-year-old woman, once believed she was a man during her childhood and began the medical transition process. Yesterday, she was awarded $3 million in a lawsuit over claims that her psychologist skipped steps in the process. However, the truth is there are no steps in place to properly evaluate anyone before they start medical transition. This outcome of this lawsuit, highlighted in the recent ruling, is likely to bring medically transitioning children to a grinding halt. This situation reflects a troubling trend in our society. We didn't stop it because it was butchering kids. Instead, we continued because it made pharmaceutical companies, surgeons, and medical facilities billions, enough to pay off politicians like Governor Greg Abbott, made enough to minimize a generation of social media guru billions of dollars, all while ripping the flesh off young bodies and minds. Not until the almighty dollar changes take place. Now, medically transitioning children will stop. I started on this activism path to halt medically transitioning children over 7 years ago, helping write the first bill that was written in 2019. Since then, similar legislation has been passed in 27 states. However, only one state in the U.S. effectively enforces the ban: Iowa. I charged onto the scene after What is a Woman, and I quickly learned that changing hearts and minds was not the goal. The focus was on getting attention, gaining monetization, and falling in line. I realized if I declared myself detrans and a born-again Christian, sad as it is to say, I would be a millionaire today. However, I refused to do that, even though it's been 4 years that I stopped taking testosterone. I don't call myself detransitioned because the medical transition process is permanent. I could take estrogen, bathe in estrogen, but I will always look like a male. I refuse to lie to these young girls. That's my first strike. My second strength, or curse, however my ability is seen in your eyes, is changing hearts and minds. You cannot watch an interview of me or speaking about this without feeling something different than what you felt before you watched. This is a dangerous gift because people often resist being challenged. Most of the time resist being challenged. Instead, they prefer to hear their beliefs echoed by charismatic personalities in unique and different ways, often and consistently. Because people don't want to be pushed to think deeply. And this is why we have the biggest medical scandal in modern history, why it has persisted for so long, and why only money can bring it down. This is why politicians who claim to be against medically transitioning children can accept bribes from queer gender clinics and purchase Mercedes as they smile driving away. Social media influencers can act like absolute psychopaths without a care for society, yet are treated as if they are kind, gifted, and angelic. These individuals are like snakes in the grass. The true teachers are the outcasts, those who endure hardships because they believe it's the right thing to do. Being involved in activism has taken a toll on my finances, spirituality, and physical health. But I never wavered, hoping, just hoping, that we we wouldn't have to wait until the lawsuits began to take action. I hoped we could defy societal norms and prioritize the well-being of children before money became the main focus. I was wrong. Now, I'm happy to see that medically transitioning children will come to an end. But I am heartbroken by the revelation that I was right. Money is the only thing that could stop this madness. As we watch social media influencers shift to the next generational issue, do not be surprised when history repeats itself. Until we dissect the reality of reoccurring history, we will remain where we have always been.